Hi, Anson Garcia with Verizon, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Yealink A30. Now, this is not a video where we're going to look at the A30 and the specs and the camera angles and the cool picture-in-picture that it has and the tracking. I'm going to put a link below to a guy named Get Josh. He has a great video on all the specs and how it supports dual monitors and things like that. What we're going to be doing here is what happens in the background, how we set it up from scratch, specifically the wireless setup. That's a little bit different than wired setup, and there's a little trickiness there. We're going to look at the 365 admin user setup and what licenses we need to put on that particular user. We're going to look at the Exchange admin resource setup, and then we're going to look at the Teams admin device setup and configuration profiles. All these three things together enable the room system to be able to be scheduled, and people can invite it to a meeting inside Microsoft Teams or an Outlook. So that's the way kind of Microsoft does it. It's kind of disjointed, and you got to know that you got to do all these three things. Let's get started and see how this works. Okay, this is what the A30 and the CPT18, the kiosk that goes along with the A30, looks like when it comes out of the box. You boot it up and it's going to be in the language settings. Now, the first thing you want to do is get you a USB mouse. There's a USB connection over here. There's two USB ports. There's one USB 3 and then a USB 2. And then we're going to have connectivity. You can see that mouse. Hopefully you see that moving around there. Let me zoom in. Okay, let's get on with the configuration of the A30. We're going to choose our language settings here. I'm going to move my mouse or control my mouse from off screen here. Click English. We got next down here. Then we're going to choose our time zone. Click done. Now, this may confuse somebody that's configuring it for wireless like I am here. Now you can see what happens here is it says welcome to Microsoft Teams. It wants you to go to the device login, what we usually do on phones and other devices, and it wants you to put this code in. Well, you can see there is no code here. It's not smart enough to know that it's not connected to the internet, and we got to turn up wireless first. So we got to kind of go back into device settings, kick up wireless, and then we'll get our device code if we're going to connect it to Microsoft Teams that way. I'm going to do it a little bit different in that I'm going to use the sign on this device here at the bottom and then log in that way. However, we still need to get connected to the internet, so let's do our Wi-Fi. Upper right hand side, we're going to go to the cog here, device settings. We're going to scroll down with our mouse over to Wi-Fi. We're going to enter our password. Our default password out of the box is 0000. We'll enter that. We're going to turn on our Wi-Fi button here. That's going to pop up all our SSIDs right here. And we're going to pick up the SSID that we want to connect to. We're going to throw our password in there. We're going to click connect. Authenticating, connected, so I'm good to go here. Now we're going to go back and to our device settings. We come back up to this screen again. Now if you want to refresh this code, it will work now. I'll show you that here. Now we have our code. Okay, we're not going to use this method. We're going to use the sign in on this device method here a little later. Okay, let's configure the CPT18 now. The same thing like on the A30, we're going to get language settings first after a reset or after we pull it out of the box. We're just going to click on English here, click OK, and that's really it. Again, we get the refresh code, but there is no code, and it says on your computer go to http microsoft.com device login and enter this code. Now, there's no code. We can refresh code. Now if we're connected to the internet, we are going to get a code here, and there's our code, but I don't want to do that. I want to get this connected to the same Wi-Fi as well. So just in case we were just using a DC adapter or something like that, I just want to set these both up as wireless devices. We go to Wi-Fi here. Same as the A30 bar. We're going to have 0000. We'll enter. We're going to turn the Wi-Fi on. We should get a list of our SSIDs that are sensed, and yeah, I'm going to go on that one. Now, it's important to note that these two have to be, the A30 and the CPT18 have to be on the same network, same VLAN, to pair up when we eventually pair these up. Okay, we'll click done there. Let's see if we connect. And we're connected. So let's go back. Let's close that. So we can refresh code again. Okay, so now we're ready to go on with the rest of the configuration. Now both the A30 bar and the CPT18 are ready to register. Now these register codes do time out, so you might have to refresh them. But we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it a different way. So let's turn our attention from here. Let's kind of stop here and let's go start configuring our user and Exchange and Teams. And then we'll come back in and log in as that user, and then we'll do some scheduling and channel meetings and things like that. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is head over to our 365 Admin Center, and I have it open right here. And then we're going to create a user. All we need to do to create this user is first name, last name, display name, username, and give it a password. All right, now I've already done that. I'm going to show you that user right here, this Yealink. And the only thing out of the norm here, creating this user, that we need to do for this user that's going to log in on behalf of the A30 and the CPT18 is in the license and apps. We're going to have to give this Microsoft Teams Room standard license or premium license, and that will enable us to log in with this Teams Room. Now, once we do that, we're going to head over to the Exchange Admin Center. Now, the Exchange Admin Center has been updated, and there's a couple of things missing here. So what I'm going to do is, instead of telling you to go to the new admin center, I'm going to go to the older admin center, and the way you get to it is right down here. So you can put the older, but there's a couple of things that are missing here. So I'm going to go over to, and they'll probably be moved over pretty soon, but as of, let's see, it's 8/15/2022. So I'm going to give you the old way, and then you can go see for yourself if those things that I'm going to show you here show up in the new admin center. And I will point this out. Okay, so we're going to go over to dashboard, then we're going to go to resources. So everything in Microsoft Teams as far as rooms is called a resource. All right, so we're going to create a resource. You can see the resource there. Let's go ahead and edit that so you see what that looks like. There's the resource. You can give it a name. This is the important part right here, this email address. Remember, that's the same username as we had for the user. That's going to kind of tie the two together. They're going to have booking delegates. It's if you're going to have someone take care of these room systems and accept meeting request or calendar request on behalf of. Here's some booking options for you. And then our contact info, email address. This is going to pop up automatically here. And this mail tip, this is what's not available in the new one. I like this mail tip, and I'm going to show you why here in just a second when we do the demo. But you can see this says this room system is at, and then there's an address, first floor shop office. All right, you can put whatever you want in here. Okay, and then here's mailbox delegation. You don't have to mess with this unless, again, you're going to send on behalf of or things like that. So really, that's all you need. Let's look down here. We'll go ahead and save that. You see the type there, right? Okay, so you would do a room mailbox if you were going to create this, all right? Let me just show you one here. You can see the room name. There's the email address. You're going to choose that email address based on the user email address, location, phone, and so on and so forth. Once we're done here, we're going to stop and go back over to the A30 and the CPT18. Okay, now what we're going to do at the A30 is go ahead and log in. So instead of doing the code way, we're going to click right down here on sign in on this device. All right, and then we'll go ahead and put our user that we created in 365. We click sign in. That takes us to our password prompt. We put in the password that we created when we created the user. We click sign in. It says you're all done And there we go. So this part is done. You can see we have no meetings today. We have our meet now. We have share, and we have more. That's how we get to our settings here. Now let's go over to the CPT18 and connect these two together. Okay, kind of the same thing that we did on the A30. We're going to sign in on this device instead of the code. Now we're going to use the same username and password as we did on the A30. We'll click sign in. Should prompt us for our password. We'll click done. Now the CPT18 is going to log in, and immediately following, it's going to want to pair. All right, we got the same thing there. You're all done. And it's looking for available devices, so it's looking on the network for anything it can pair to. And it finds the Yealink mini bar A30, and there's a serial number. If you had several of them, you could go to your A30 and look in the settings and look for that serial number to make sure you were connecting to the right one. But all we need to do is just select that one. And now what's going to happen, you're going to get a code on the device itself. We're going to take that code, and we're going to enter that code on the CPT18. Hit pair. We'll zoom out for you. And they just connected. So now we have both the A30 connected to that user, and we have the CPT18 connected to that user. And we get our normal Microsoft Teams, Meet Now, Share, and some other settings that we can do in here. Okay, there's one more piece to the puzzle here, and that's in Teams. So we're going to head over to our Teams Admin Center, and I have it up here. And we're going to go over to Teams Devices and Teams Rooms on Android, because the A30 is an Android bar or an Android Teams Room. Now if we go in here, we'll see on Teams Rooms on Android tab that we have the Yealink. Now I didn't put this Yealink in there, it just showed up. And then we have some management capabilities in here. So let me just go across here. This is the device display name. There's the user that's connected to it. Remember, that's the user that we created and we logged in as. The device name. Then we have a health status. And let me click in here. This is where we can see that there's a newer version of the software here. And then we can see the manufacturer, the model number, the IP address. And let's go ahead and edit this so you can see a little bit more. Organization asset tag. And we have some notes in here as well. And then I'm going to click on this real quick, and then you can get some health status. Also, we can download device logs, update software right from here. We can restart. We have the health with this particular thing, some details, and then activity, what meetings and things like that happen on this device. And then we get some history here also. And then let's go back. Let's go to health here. And I want to go right here, this Teams app. So there's two pieces to each of these components. There's the kind of the firmware that goes on it, and then there's the Teams app that goes on it. So all these things have kind of two pieces to them. And if I look at my software updates here that I can do on this room system, I can do manual updates, I can schedule updates, I can do a update right now. I can see what software's on it and what software I'm going to update to. And let's go to details, activity. I think we already did all that. Now one more thing, we're going to go back over here. Let's look at the touch console. And there's the touch console. And there again, we can click on there. We can see available updates. All right, we can manually update. So yeah, so this is kind of the third piece of it. And then there's one thing, there's kind of some configuration you can push down from Teams as well. And let me show you that. these configuration profiles right here. So this configuration profile, you can see I have one named A30. Now I did this one, so as far as anything in here, the only thing I actually configured was this profile. And let me show you what's in that profile. Device lock. So there's some general configurations that you can push down onto the system. Now I'm just going to scroll here. If you want to stop this video, you can, to see what options are available in here. Now you kind of get a sense of how all these three pieces fit together. Remember the 365 piece, the user and the license, and the exchange piece and the resource that we had to do in there so we can do the scheduling and calendaring and invite that room into either Outlook or Microsoft Teams meetings. And then the Teams piece where we can push down a little bit of configuration, update the configuration or the firmware that's on there and the Teams app that's on there and things like that. So let's go ahead and go into a demo and see what it all looks like from a user perspective. Okay, now let's see how this looks like from a user perspective. Let's go into Teams and I'll go ahead and choose, let's go to Calendar. We can do it in Channels or Calendar, it doesn't matter. But we'll go ahead and choose schedule a meeting here. We'll make that meeting, let's see, it's 7:17. We'll do 7:30, that's okay. We're going to do test. Yealink A30 with CPT18 meeting. This is where we would add the room system, the resource. And we just start typing in, remember our username was Yealink, and it'll come up because it's in our directory. We can choose that right there, and maybe we'll add somebody else. Let's add Lynn. Okay, we'll leave that at 7:30, 30 minutes, do not repeat. Add some notes over here. Okay, that's all we need to do, and we're going to send that away. And I'm going to hopefully pan over on the camera to what's behind me and you can see what happens over there. Okay, I got to the camera quick enough and let's see what happens to our CPT18 and our A30. Usually takes a few minutes to update. And there you see it, that's real time. Okay, there's our Outlook right there reminding us. I'm going to double click that. And you see this guy right here? That was that text that we put in the resource when we created the resource in Exchange. So that's a nice little feature because you can go ahead and put that resource in and make sure, you know, maybe people are going to walk down to the meeting or something like that. And it's a nice little textual description on where this meeting is or where this room system is if you're not going to join on your PC or something like that. I hope this has been educational for you, and thanks for watching.